Also joining me is former law clerk to Justice Neil Gorsuch and founder and president of Article 3 Project, Mike Davis. Gentlemen, welcome to you both. Thanks for leading the program today. Congressman, to you first. To Alina Habba's point, the timing of these attacks on President Trump have come just days after new evidence emerges on the Biden crime family, sometimes within hours. It's either an incredible coincidence or a DOJ that is protecting the illegality of Joe Biden and has betrayed over half of this country. Which do you think it is?
Well, I think you have to go back to the Mar-a-Lago raid last August. That was clearly designed to impact the 2022 election. Now, one could say that it backfired on them because Republicans rallied to President Trump. His polling has done nothing but skyrocket since then. However, it did do some, I think, justice in terms of getting the Democrats to turn out in 2022. And I think there is a real question of whether or not the Republicans should have done better in 2022. Was that because of the involvement of the DOJ? Now, one thing that's been lost on a lot of people is we've already forgot what happened over the weekend. Last weekend on Saturday, Chris, I was on your show on Friday. On Saturday, you had the DOJ put out an unprecedented letter on a Saturday. As Mike Davis knows, they don't work on Saturday. They never send out letters on Saturday. But lo and behold, they send out a letter that threatens Devin Archer to try to stop him from testifying on Monday. Now, then, of course, on Sunday, they quickly realize they have a problem. So they come out on Sunday and say, oh, no, we weren't trying to obstruct Congress's investigation. Nonsense. And I think what the Republicans have to focus on is that 72-hour period from probably Thursday, Friday, Saturday to Sunday, of all the machinations that had to have gone on within the Department of Justice, that had to have been approved at the highest levels, and my guess was coordinated with people within the Biden orbit.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. Mike, new reports expose how Mr. Biden was desperate to get Trump. The Washington Post reporting that Obama warned of Trump's strengths in a private talk with Biden and vowed to do anything he could to make sure he doesn't get reelected. This after a New York Times piece confirmed that Joe Biden is pressuring the DOJ to get Trump. The report revealing that Biden privately told his inner circle that he was displeased with Garland for not moving aggressively enough to prosecute President Trump. Mike, what does this reveal to you?
It is very clear that President Biden is very much behind these political prosecutions of President Trump. Matthew Colangelo left the #3 office in the Biden Justice Department to go up to Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg's office to indict a former president for the first time in history for the non-crime of a businessman settling a nuisance claim. And it was President Biden, through his deputy White House counsel, Jonathan Sue, who greenlighted the unprecedented, unnecessary, and unlawful home raid on President Trump a year ago that led to the Jack Smith indictment for the former president having his presidential records, which is allowed by the Presidential Records Act. Joe Biden is absolutely behind this, and House Republicans should impeach both Joe Biden and Attorney General Merrick Garland for their corruption and cover-up.
Yeah, Congressman, I just want you to comment, because I didn't get a really clear answer on this, but I think I know where you sit on this. Should Americans believe that all of this implementation of running interference for Joe Biden is completely coincidental? Or do we believe that Merrick Garland, and because you got Speaker Newt Gingrich out there saying the same thing, that Merrick Garland is using the Department of Justice to run cover for the criminal allegations against Joe Biden and Hunter Biden? Tell me where you sit on that.
Well, I want to make sure that I didn't dodge your question, Chris, here on Fake News Friday. You just asked a question that I think is stating the obvious. I mean, the calendar shows everything you need to know. I think the American people know it. There should be no confusion. I think all Republicans that are, at least, maybe not if you're in the swamp or if you're in the D.C., New York Beltway, maybe you don't understand it. But it is quite clear that exactly what they are doing here. And look, I don't know what Mike's opinion is on this, but my guess is they still haven't indicted the so-called co-conspirators like Rudy Giuliani, and they still haven't brought any sedition or insurrection charges that they've talked about. My guess is they're still going to do that. I don't know what Mike thinks, but that's what I believe.
Mike, I wanted to get your reaction. Well, okay, well, I want to get your reaction first to Attorney General Bill Barr's quote-unquote concerns following the indictment. He went on CNN to say that quote, he's worried about acquittals during the campaign. Let that sink in for a minute. The former Attorney General Barr is worried about acquittals of President Trump during the campaign. Did he just say the quiet part out loud?
Bill Barr is bitter, and he's like a stray political cat looking for milk, and he got his milk from CNN the other night. Remember, this is the same Bill Barr who sat back and did nothing for 6 months while BLM and Antifa destroyed our country. This is the same Bill Barr who got evidence that Joe Biden, as a presidential candidate, took $10 million from Burisma, a foreign bribe. He sent it to a Pennsylvania U.S. attorney, and it was corroborated. It was found credible. And then Bill Barr sent it to the Democrat-picked Delaware U.S. attorney, where it was buried. Bill Barr didn't raise this allegation with congressional leadership before the presidential election. Bill Barr quit doing his job in June of 2020.
Okay, guys, I only have about a minute and a half left for the both of you, and I want you to weigh in on this. There's a report out there that Fox News is actually begging President Trump to go and debate. Now, I think he'd be nuts to go over there on Fox News, because basically it's going to be 2.5 hours of everybody hating on Trump, including, we all know about the never Trump bias over there that is taken over. So it's going to be 2.5 hours of ignoring everything that Joe Biden is doing to our people to focus on getting Trump. Congressman, where do you think I'm going wrong here, or what's your opinion on this?
Well, look, I think that's exactly right. This is the former president. He's the leader of the Republican Party. The Beltway class doesn't like to give him credit for this, but without Donald Trump, they had no ability to raise money back in 2022. So President Trump is the leader of the Republican Party and has been. And so, because he's got all of these small donors. So the idea that he would lower himself down to do a debate like this, I think is silliness. If somehow President Trump decided he wasn't going to run, then look, there should be all the debates in the world. But, I don't see any of these candidates out there, of all of them, that are out there on the stump helping to elect. Where were they last year trying to help elect Republicans to the House and the Senate? They didn't matter because no one would show up to watch them. They couldn't raise a nickel. They need this. The Republican Party needs President Trump, just like the country needs President Trump. And the American people know that. And I would say to people like Bill Barr, you probably ought to get out of the Beltway, take a drive. You probably got to go about 2 hours south or maybe 2 hours north, go to some, kind of suburban rural part of the country. And you're going to get a totally different picture from the real people that are out there doing real work, trying to keep this country moving in the right direction.
Well, I'm not convinced Mr. Barr gives a damn about the people. And that's kind of what the genesis of this question is, Mike, because the last thing I want to see is somebody who wants to see life improve for the folks, for our people out there. What good is a 2.5-hour debate of a bunch of his contenders and the folks over at Fox saying it's all about you, Trump, and not the guy that's sitting in the White House screwing up our country and his political party, screwing up our country as we speak?
I actually think that President Trump should do this debate apprentice style. It's the vice presidential debate, and all these other Republicans are trying out to be President Trump's vice president. I think it'd be perfect.
Apprentice style. Now, see, Mike, now I'm going to have to recalculate this, because now that's got me thinking. Devin Nunes, Mike Davis, thank you very much, gentlemen. Appreciate it.